Okay, so this topic 2.3, cells grouped into tissues. So plant cells grouped into plant tissues. So we have several types of plant tissues here: meristem, parenchyma, colloidchyma, sclerenchyma, xylem, and phloem. So plant tissues generally divided into two: meristematic plant tissues and permanent plant tissues. So the difference is, for meristematic plant tissues, the cell divide. Okay, the cell is still active to undergo cell division. But for permanent tissues, they already become permanent. So the cell do not divide. Okay, it's already mature. So there are three types of meristematic plant tissues, which is apical, intercalary, and lateral meristematic tissue. Permanent tissue we divided into two: simple and complex permanent tissues. So for simple tissues, also known as ground tissues, we have three types of ground tissues: parenchyma, colloidchyma, sclerenchyma. While complex tissues, we also call it as vascular tissue, we have two types of vascular tissues: xylem and phloem. Okay, so for one, meristem cell. So these cells, they are active. They are still in the state of division and growing. So that's why they are still young and immature. So for these cells, since they actively divide themselves, so their nucleus is very large because they are active in dividing themselves, and it is in the center of the cell, and it has a very dense cytoplasm. So the cells are similar in structure, and they have only thin cell wall. Okay, thin cell wall because they are still young. Right? So the cells are closely packed and without intercellular airspace. So for this cell, or you relate it to the immature characteristics. Okay, they are very closely packed to each other, almost no space within the cell. So the shape of the cell may be spherical, maybe oval, maybe polygonal, maybe rectangular. And the vacuoles, okay, they only have few vacuoles or no vacuoles at all, because all the space they are already packed with the nucleus. And they have the ability to divide by the process of mitosis, and then after that they differentiate into different other cells. Okay, so the pattern of the plant growth depends on where the location of these meristems. So we have three types of meristems here: apical, lateral, and intercalary at different locations. So you look at the diagram for apical meristem. Okay, at the end of the plant. So it is either located at the shoot tip, okay, the tip of the shoot, or the root tip, okay, the tip of the root here. So this is called apical meristem. Lateral meristem is for secondary growth, to increase the diameter of the root and the stem. So apical meristem is for primary growth. So we always say that apical meristem is for the plant to grow tall. For lateral meristem is for the plant to grow fat. Okay, increase in the diameter. This one increase in length. Alright, so the three types here: apical, shoot and root tip, primary tissues; lateral, secondary meristem. Okay, and the third one, intercalary meristem, is occur between mature tissues, and they regenerate the part which has been removed by cow or goat, okay, by after they eat the grass. So the intercalary meristem will try to regenerate the part. So for the first one, apical meristem, located at the tip, root tip, and the shoot apex. Okay, we always call shoot apex. That is the tip of the shoot. Provide additional cell, enable the growth in the length for the plant to grow tall for primary growth. So there are three types of primary tissue found in primary growth. Protoderm, which give rise to epidermis of the cell, outermost layer. Ground meristem, which give the endodermis and cortex of the plant. And procambium, which give rise to vascular tissue such as pith, xylem, and phloem. So here is the location. Protoderm, okay, give rise to epidermis. Procambium give rise to xylem, phloem, and ground meristem give rise to the endodermis of the plant. Okay, found on the plant shoot. And the root tip here also we have protoderm, epidermis, ground meristem, endodermis, procambium, xylem, phloem. So we can get it in these two places only. Okay, shoot tip, shoot, apex, and root tip. Function to begin the growth of new cells in the young plant. So for lateral meristem, grow in thickness for the plant to grow fat. So this is known as secondary growth. Okay, so we have two tissues under here, vascular cambium and the cork cambium. So this is give rise to secondary xylem, secondary phloem. Cork cambium give rise to the cork tissue. So function, secondary growth or lateral growth. Okay, increase the diameter of the plant. Right, so distribution, we can get it in woody plant and some herbaceous plant. So for the secondary growth, the plant can increase in diameter. Third one, intercalary meristem at the base of internode. What is internode? Which means that between the leaf nodes. Okay, for example here, the leaf. So this is the intercalary meristem located. Enable longitudinal growth of the stem. Okay, it occurs between the mature tissues. What is the function of intercalary meristem? To regenerate the parts which has been removed and the stem elongation in a very short time. So example, you can find it in the grass and bamboo. Okay, between the nodes here. So intercalary meristem. Alright. So the summary here, you should know about the location and the function for each of the meristem tissue. Okay, so the next one, permanent tissue, the cell which do not divide. Alright. Okay, so permanent tissue, they already mature. Okay, or they already undergone differentiation. So where we get the permanent tissue, actually it derived from the meristem tissue just now. Remember just now we say that meristem tissue is young and keep dividing. So after they mature, they will become this permanent tissue. Okay, so for permanent tissue, they already lost the power of division. They do not divide. They already mature. So because they already attained their definite form. Okay, where the growth have already stopped. So the two types of permanent tissue here, ground tissue and vascular tissue. Okay, so for these three, parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma, they are the ground tissues. So now you compare meristem tissue and permanent tissue. Meristem tissue continuously dividing. Okay, because they are young. This one, permanent, do not divide. Meristem tissue, small in size and isodiametric. Okay, isodiametric means the diameter is the same from all dimensions. For permanent tissue, variable in shape and size. Cell wall is thin, cell wall is thick. Nucleus large because they active divide. Nucleus is small. Vacuole, no vacuole. This one have vacuole because this one already occupied with all the nucleus. No intercellular space. This one, yes. Metabolic activity very high because they are young. This one low. Inorganic inclusion absent, present means they have no inorganic substance here. Cells are undifferentiated. This one differentiated to perform different function. Simple tissue only. For this one, they have either simple or complex tissue. Okay, so this is the meristem tissue compared with the permanent tissue here.